A fam? Welcome into the Wednesday version of the Start Sit Show. Going to be here to answer all of your questions as long as it takes. Hope you're all doing well. Hope your fantasy season is going well so far. The hits just keep coming. Man, we have Nico hitting IR. Now we have Michael Pittman apparently out for a few weeks. So this year, I feel like we always say things like this, but this year truly does feel just out of control and one of the worst years that we've seen because we have these injuries that are just popping up out of nowhere. We thought Nico Collins was going to be okay. At least it seemed like it. The initial reports kind of seemed like it was going to be a 1 to 2 week thing, and now that's not the case, obviously. So it's been absolutely wild. But appreciate you all for joining me. Let's go ahead and start getting into some of these questions. We have a backlog here in the chat. Gonna kick things off with Purple Yoda. Should I drop Addison for Slayton if Neighbors doesn't play in a PPR? This one to me depends on, are you going to need to put Slayton into your lineup? This is really what it comes down to for me. Obviously, we had the renaissance of Darius Slayton last week against a much tougher defense in Seattle. He pops off. So Yoda, if you're going to be slotting him into your lineup, or I guess maybe if you want to block your opponent from picking him up, you can look at it that way. But if you're not going to be picking Slayton up to plug him into your lineup, I would not do it because I would still want Addison long term over Slayton. Hope that makes sense. Kanoa, thoughts on Adonai Mitchell? Would you ever sacrifice not starting a kicker or defense? I mean, AD Mitchell is going to fall into that Alec Pierce type of realm where he's going to be super boom bust. If he doesn't get that, 60-yard touchdown, he has a very limited floor. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens if Josh Downs is not able to go. He popped up with a toe injury. If that's like a turf toe type of thing, that is not going to be good for someone like Josh Downs, who is, one of those like shiftier, close in space type of players. So, I mean, I think Adonai Mitchell is fine if you want to, if you want to stash somebody. His floor, like I said already, is going to be limited to begin with. And then if we have Anthony Richardson returning, we've seen the floor for these guys, pretty much drop. So boom bust type of play. But if you have to swing for the fences, that's definitely a dude you can do it with. And would I ever sacrifice not starting a kicker or defense? That one comes down to strictly record for me. Or if let's say you have like a 2-3 team, you've just run into buzzsaws every week. You're the second highest scorer and you're playing the top scorer. If you have the luxury of doing that, then yeah, I would. But if you're just doing it because you have a hunch on your bench stash and you don't want to drop him, I probably wouldn't do that. And then it also comes down to who you're playing as well. Like if you feel pretty confident you'd be able to beat your opponent without the kicker or the defense, then I'd feel better about doing that. Another one from Kanoa. I'm assuming this is supposed to be how high do you have the Chicago defense versus the Jags? This is going to be like a top 6-ish, 7-ish, 5-ish type of defense this week. I just don't trust the Jags offense whatsoever. Obviously, we saw them get off the ground last week. But the Chicago defense is legit. I like this defense a lot. So they're going to be one of the top options for this week. Chris, Bigsby or Najee for RB2? BTJ or Mooney? I'm going Mooney there. Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be more of a boom bust option for me personally this week, going up against the Chicago defense. Obviously, they haven't exactly faced a murderer's row of passing offenses, but I think that secondary is legit. I do think they have the talent to be able to slow someone down like Brian Thomas Jr. Mooney, I just feel a lot better about, better matchup, and I think his volume is going to be more dependable. So we'll start there on that one. And then Purdy or Stroud, I'm going to go Purdy on that one without Collins at the helm. And then for Bigsby or Najee, I'm gonna go Najee. It sucks because he has been in a great spot for the past 2 weeks going up against subpar rush defenses, and he hasn't really got there. But now they're going up against the Raiders. A 23.25 implied team total. That's one of the better ones on the week. No Christian Wilkins for the Raiders either, which is a big hit to the interior of that defense, obviously. So I think I would go Najee. I also don't trust Doug Peterson enough to look at what Bigsby has been doing compared to ETN and then be like, you know what, maybe we should have this be some type of like legitimate rotation where we have Bigsby kind of be like our early down back, and then we keep ETN fresh and and have him kind of play like a pass catching role. I don't trust him to do that. So as long as Warren is going to be out here, which now seems like it's up in the air. They called him doubtful like 2 days ago. And then Warren was at practice today, saw a clip of him. He actually looked pretty decent. But regardless, I think I'm going to go Najee here, but just don't love it as much as I should. Better hold Ingram or Adonai. I'm going to go Ingram here just because the tight end position has been an absolute dumpster fire. So assuming that Ingram makes his way back today, I mean this week, he did have a limited practice, which normally we don't put too much stock into the Wednesday practice reports. But if they are actually practicing on a Wednesday, that is a good sign. If they miss, you still obviously have a couple of days to get in limited and full practices. But the fact that he's obviously missed the past couple of weeks and he got in limited practice today, that's a good sign. So going to hold Ingram there because of how bad the position has been. I think that gives you more value on your team than somebody like AD Mitchell. So this one just going a little bit deeper. Quentin Johnson, Ingram, or AD. I'm still going to stick with Ingram here over Quentin Johnson. Jose, start, sit, have PPR 2 and 3. Then we got the roster here. So I'm assuming that's Brandon Cooks. He is on IR. So we're definitely getting him out. Man, you have a plethora of wide receivers here. I was looking and wanting to get Chase Brown in, but I can't do it over any of these receivers. So we're going to put Ayuk in over Cooks. And then Trey McLaurin and Flowers for Garrett Wilson. Although I just said you have a plethora of receivers, I think that's overpaying for Garrett Wilson. I know he finally had that breakout spot last week, 13 for over 100 to score. But McLaurin seems like he's starting to really click now with Jaden Daniels. Zay Flowers, he's more volatile than what you would want. But up until last week, Garrett Wilson did not have a top 25. He did not have a top 25 finish yet this season. And then you start playing like the what if game, like what if Adams lands with Rodgers now on the Jets? I definitely don't want to do that. So I think that's overpaying for Wilson, even though you have the ability to make a move like that. I think if I'm you could take somebody like Laporta or Kraft pair them with one of those bench wide receivers, and I probably want to upgrade your RB3 spot. As much as I love Nick Chubb, I have no idea what to expect from him whenever he's coming back. So I think that's what personally what I would try and do. Like I was saying, with as bad as the tight end position has been, there's somebody in your league that could use somebody like Laporta or Kraft. Like unquestioned, there's someone in your league that is hurting a tight end that you could potentially pair with one of those bench receivers. And then even if you wanted to go out and maybe try and go, if you want to try and go big game hunting and you want to get like a certified stud at receiver, you obviously have a bunch of really good ones. But if you want to go after a Lamb and a Mon-Ra, something like that, I think you have the ability to do it. And then what other value can I get for Flowers and McLaurin? I think you can shoot higher than Garrett Wilson for sure. The issue with those two receivers is like I feel like McLaurin, people are kind of like just over it. We've been wanting that breakout from McLaurin to happen for so long that like I don't think he's necessarily going to return like the trade value that he should. And then Flowers being so up and down, like I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get like the return for like a wide receiver for those two guys. But your best bet, look at the teams in your league and find the team that has like maybe like the one stud wide receiver and then no depth behind it. And that's the team that I would go after. There's probably going to be somebody else in your league that even if you had to include one of those like higher tier receivers, you obviously have the pieces to do it. Mike, with Cook, Shakir potentially out as bad as Allen's been performing, should I sit Allen and start Murray or Jones? Oh boy. Oh. If Danny Dimes, or if Neighbors rather, is going to play, I think I would go Dimes. Assuming Cook and Shakir are out, that is. If those two are out, then I would go Dimes. If they play, I would stick it out with Allen. Gabriel, full PPR, Chase Brown, or Chuba, or J.K. Dobbins. This is another tough one. It's not J.K. Dobbins for me. I think we've figured out what it is with J.K. Dobbins. You want to start J.K. Dobbins versus poor run defenses. If he's up against a good run defense and he's not ripping off multiple 30-yard runs, he's not getting you there for fantasy purposes. This is not a great matchup for him going up against the Broncos. The Broncos defense has been playing extremely well. Picked up Jonathan Franklin Myers this offseason, which has been a huge help to their defensive line. Even with losing Alex Singleton, Cody Barton has stepped in and looked pretty good. So we're not going Dobbins. Really look Chuba and Chase Brown. If Zach Moss sits, we're going to go Chase Brown. If Zach Moss plays, I would go Chuba. That's how I would do that. Spectre? Should I drop Olave or HM? Both, neither. I wouldn't drop either. Unless this is like a really shallow league. If you're in like even like in an 8-team league, I wouldn't want to drop HM. and I wouldn't want to drop Olave either. I get it. Super frustrating. Derek Carr now going to be out um, for a couple weeks, more than likely. But I can't imagine there's anything on your waiver wire that has the talent and the upside of either of those guys. And the thing with Achan is it sounds like whether or not it's a good idea that Tua is going to be back. If Tua comes back, that offense obviously looks completely different, and Achan goes back up to being a weekly, top 6 running back, in my opinion. So no, I would not drop either of them. Senor TD, trade question. Giving away Daniels, London, and Deontay will get Cooks, Hill, and Cooper. Don't feel great, but I need running back help. Thank you. God, like having Cooper in that just makes me not want to do that deal. It has been so frustrating with Amari Cooper. He has a sub 50% catchable target rate, which is just mind boggling. Like Watson hasn't been good since he got to Cleveland, but I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Hopefully he is someone who like forces his way out of Cleveland and lands in some greener pastures. Having said that, I don't think I'd want to do this deal. It just Jorge, if you're still here, who would you have left at quarterback? Let me know that. Because the wild card here is Tyreek, right? If Tua comes back and he's able to stay healthy and avoid another concussion until the end of the season, that's going to end up looking good. Okay, you have Love. Man, this feels like such a gamble. Have you tried just moving like Deontay for like a lower-ish level running back? I don't know if basically do you need to go out and move all of these pieces just to get like you're taking on all of the risk here. All of it. I would personally like who else do you have at running back? Is also what I'd be curious of. So while we wait on that, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next one from our guy CHB. How we feeling about Spencer Rattler this week? I'm a sorry CHB. I'm gonna come back to it. God, I hate leagues like that. It's so frustrating. There's someone that I'm thinking of specifically in one of my dynasty leagues, one of my home leagues, and if you go to him and you want like a uh like a kicker, like hey man, like week 1, I need a kicker. I don't have one. I'll throw you a fourth. He always comes back and it ends up being all right. Well, what about if I threw in Saquon? What would you give me then? It's like I came knocking for a kicker, man. I'm I'm not trying. Man, that really, man. Who Who are your other running backs? Senor TD. We'll keep going back and forth on this and see if we can't figure something else out. Because in that trade, like I said, you're assuming all of the risk, and I don't love that. And also, what's your record too? How are we feeling about Rattler this week? I like Rattler. I didn't understand all of the hate that he was getting during the draft process. I think he could be good if we get like a couple of starts out of him. I really don't know what to expect from his first start. Um, on paper, it's not an awful matchup. Obviously, you worry about him going up against I can't think of the Bucks head coach's name. Going up against him, and his defense and the different looks he's going to give him and the blitzes he's going to send his way. I can picture his face. Why can't I think of his name? So this week, I'm going to pump the brakes. I still think you can throw Olave and especially Shaheed out there. I think it's going to fit his game really well. Rattler's game, that is. So pumping the brakes, but like I'm cautiously optimistic. Pacheco, Kamara. Pacheco, Kamara, Singletary, and Ford. On the plus side, you should be getting Singletary back this week. I get it if this is, and if this is like the only one that you're able to be getting away with here, it's not great. But like I still wouldn't want to do that just because you're assuming all the risk. Like I wouldn't want to take on. Obviously, if Tua comes back and he's Tua, that ends up being good, regardless of what happens with Amari Cooper and that side of the deal, right? But I just think you're giving up all of the. I mean, you're taking on all of the risk. I would just keep trying to chop away or see if there's something out there that you could possibly do. Not good fantasy. Jason and Dowdle for Dell and Waddle. And speaking of taking on all the risk, I think this is a case where I would take the swing. Uh, that is the absolute worst. But those things tend to work themselves out. So I would keep grinding away. Look at the team that has the running back depth to be able to spare, and then if you have to, like I said, the thing with me there is like taking on all that risk. So if you're the second highest scorer, it just sounds like you're running into buzzsaws every week. So stay the course. It'll all work out. And then obviously, if anything else pops up, just drop a comment, join us on the lives, and we'll be happy to help you. So I would go Dell and Waddle here. Jason been super up and down. Dowdle I like. He was one of my favorite like late round running backs. I picked him up and stashed him last year in a couple of dynasty leagues, like hoping for this type of situation. But again, assuming Tua comes back, obviously Jason and Dowdle are bench pieces for you. Waddle can end up being a key piece of your team. So I went the Waddle side here. KD, Monty, Myers, Moss, Pollard, or Shaheed at flex. I'm going Monty. It's close for me between Monty and Pollard. I like them both a lot this week. Moss wasn't practicing, which again, Wednesday practice is not the end all be all, but obviously he picked up that ankle injury. Um, kind of toward the end of that game. Didn't look great, but apparently the severity isn't awful. So even if he misses this week, he's not expected to miss extended time. But Monty and Pollard in great spots. I'm rolling with Monty here. I have him and Gibbs both as top 12 options this week, and I have Pollard just outside of my RB1s. Katie, who else are you starting at running back? Curious. Gabriel, Deontay Johnson, or Rashid Shaheed. I'm going to go the safe route here and go with Deontay. I think we get a bounce back week from him. Like I was saying with Spencer Rattler, I do like him. On paper, this is a good matchup. Todd Bowles, there it is. I knew if I just had a little more time, it would eventually come to me. I think Todd Bowles is going to try and make life hell for him in his first start. Like I said, maybe they don't necessarily have like the talent to be able to pull that off against other offenses and other quarterbacks, but I think a rookie in his first start, he hasn't even been active. I don't think he's been active at all so far this season. It's been Haener who's been the backup quarterback behind Carr. Sounds like Rattler is going to get the nod this week. I do like him, but in this matchup, in like this specific instance, if this was like week 2, I would try and look at a different way there. The other thing here is with as much as they move Deontay Johnson around, he should be in the slot. And even if D. Alford is able to come back and play in this one, that like it doesn't matter. D. Alford has not been good in the slot. Had a left with a concussion. What was that last Thursday? I would assume he would be good to go, but we just saw the Thursday to Sunday concussion not work out for Malik Nabers before that happened. So I would just play it safe here and go Deontay Johnson and wait and see what happens with Rattler. Fu, sup yo? What's going on with you? F Yang, Quincy, do I drop forward for Bucky Irving or pick up Braylon Allen on waivers? This to me comes down to is this like just a straight up stash, or is this someone you're gonna like need to feel okay about playing? If it's someone like you're gonna need to like plug into your lineups, I would lean Bucky. If it's someone that you're just stashing for like just to be able to swing at the fences, I would go Braylon Allen. Because I think Braylon Allen has the higher upside, but he needs a Breece injury, right? Where we know that Bucky's at least going to be mixing in, but his ceiling is going to be capped with Rachaad White's presence. So like that's what that would come down to me. Do you need someone you can feel better about plugging and playing right now? If so, that's Bucky. If you're picking this person up to like have them just like sit on your bench because like you're set at running back, I would probably lean Braylon Allen. And since both those guys are out there, I'm going to assume this is like an 8-team league, 10-team league at most. And other words, those guys would be already rostered. So that's the way that I would lean with that. AB, sup, bro? What's up, AB? Do I start Bucky with Rachaad injured or Tyrone Tracy to Singletary, depending on who's healthy? RBs or Kyron Cook, Kareem Hunt, and Bucky. I did not see anything about Rachaad White. I was trying to look through all the injury reports before I jumped on. So it looks like he was limited today. Let me see if I can. Come on. Let me see if I can find anything else out. Okay. So the fact he got into limited practice today would tell me that this is not like a super severe thing that he is dealing with. But I would still go Bucky here because I don't know what to make. If Singletary is out for whatever reason, I would go Tyrone Tracy. But I don't see that happening. I think Singletary is going to play. But the issue there is I don't know what to expect from the Giants backfield with as good as Tracy looked. I don't think he's going to overtake Singletary for this week or anything crazy like that. But I feel like they can't keep him, like they can't go back to like Singletary just gets all the work and Tyrone Tracy comes in, just as to give him a breather. I just don't know what that split is going to look like. So with Bucky, at least we know we're getting 10 plus touches. And then if, they decide to lean on him a little bit more because of Rashad's foot injury, that's gonna obviously be even better. So I'm going Bucky. Dub Nation, Deontay Johnson or Debo. We are rolling Debo here. I have Debo as like a top 15 option, and Deontay Johnson is more of like a back end wide receiver too. I like this spot for that Thursday game. Should be a really good one. Will, would you trade Waddle and Spears for Pitts and Tank Dell? I'll be receiving the Dell side. Oh, Lord. Will, who do you have at tight end now? Is what I'm curious about. Because the thing with Tank Dell is like he just does not seem healthy to me. Like Spears hasn't been mixing in as much as we thought that he would. Waddle obviously has the Tua problem, but that seems like that should be figured out in the next 2 weeks. It's like in a vacuum, probably I would do it if I'm getting the pit side, but that really just depends on who your other tight end is. Dak versus Detroit or Love versus Arizona? Man, no, I'm probably putting both of those quarterbacks on the block and then trading one of them so I don't have to make this decision every week. I'm gonna go Dak here. Detroit is an absolute run funnel, or a pass funnel rather. Really hard to run on them. If you're moving the ball against them, it has to be through the air. We just saw Dak put up 350, 320 on a more difficult Steelers matchup. And now, obviously, Rico Dowdle had a really solid game last week, but I don't think he finds the same success on the ground. I'm going to roll with Dak on this one. Super close, though. Really, really close. They're both in good spots. I just prefer Dak's a bit better. Steven, who'd you drop 10-team full PPR? Downs, McConkey, Tucker, Tutu, Bigsby, Mostert, Dowdle. Steven, if you are still here, who are you dropping for? Would be my question. In a vacuum, it's not Tank, it's not Dowdle. I mean, probably Trey Tucker. Okay, Steven is here. Who are you dropping for? I'm curious. I think in a 10-team league you can drop Trey Tucker. I'm not super high on that offense. Obviously, there's no reason to be. Minshew getting benched, AOC coming in. Like I'm cool on that. Like if you drop Trey Tucker and he ends up beating you, the world is against you at that point, and just give up on everything. In a vacuum, that would be my answer. Yang, Kraft, or Laporta, I have both. Should I hold two? And who should I keep at 3 between Tolbert, Wicks, and McLeod? Just keeping one there. It's not Ray Ray. Oh, why do we just need one? Is it because we have? I mean, you can't. I would be looking to move Kraft or Laporta. I would put them both on the block, and then I would see what offers come in, and then I would go about it that way. I'm definitely not dropping. I get why you picked up Kraft. Definitely not dropping him after the performance he just had. Kind of wish he probably wouldn't have done that, so you wouldn't be put in this type of situation. But I would trade one of them. Maybe you could do like a 2-for-1, open up some roster space that way, and that way you can hold Tolbert and Wicks. If I just had to pick one, it'd probably be Wicks, although he's been super disappointing. I feel like he probably just has the higher ceiling over Tolbert. But I really like Tolbert as not necessarily a sneaky start this week, but I think he is a non-obvious start going up in that matchup. But I would trade one of those tight ends. I would leave it up to the league. I would just take the offer that intrigued me the most. Definitely dropping McLeod, and then if you have to drop another one, it'd probably be Tolbert. Master Vader, DK gonna have a bounce back this week. Bigly, absolutely. I love DK to have a big bounce back week this week. Niners defense banged up, Seahawks defense banged up. It's gonna be a good one. Nino, need a little trade advice if you don't mind. Don't mind at all. That's why we are here. And also, if it's your first time rocking with us, please hit us with a like and a sub. Really do appreciate it. It helps the channel grow, helps out the old YouTube algorithm or algorithm overlords that we need to pray to and do daily sacrifices to try and grow this channel. But we appreciate all of you. There he is. Hey, Harry, old buddy, old pal.
Yeah. Thanks for holding it down.
You all rested, ready to go?
Yeah. Yep. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Just gonna ruin the rest of your night.
Yeah.
So got a trade question here from Nino. Trade away Kamara and Higgins for Saquon and Tank. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would.
The thing with Kamara that worries me is just the crazy usage they've been giving him. Like, it was like, how long can he hold up? Their offensive line is an absolute mess. You kind of saw it and now you're out without Derek Carr for multiple weeks. I don't know. Saquon's obviously been the RB1 this year. So, there's that. Tank, and then obviously Nico being out for the next 4 games, it's going to should help Tank. So,
I guess it would. If you're still rocking with us, who else do you have? Who do you have left at receiver? That would sway me one way or the other. I did just want to throw this one in here for your Mizzou buddy because I asked this question with this trade. You'd be getting Pitts and Tank Dell. He has Kincaid though, so would you trade away Waddle and Spears for Pitts and Dell if he already has Kincaid?
I don't. Probably not. I don't think you really need. You don't really need the extra tight end, obviously.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm at. I said yes in a vacuum, but I don't know that I would do it with Kincaid. Although that's been another just super frustrating situation.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound like Tua's on his way back. So like he'll be back week 8. So that is a big, big boost for.
Yeah.
Like that's what I've been out there like trying to see if I can trade for Tyreek Hill and even Jalen Waddle. I'm okay with trading for because I do think obviously their value is really depressed, and so being able to get that because it does, like I said, it does sound like Tua's going to be back here soon.
Sport Dog 1000 in my 18 PPR Superflex league. I have Jawan Jennings. Should I hang on to him or is it time to drop him? In an 18 league, you can drop him.
Oh, 100%.
Spectre, what should I do with Adams? Hold on to him or sell high? Which potential trade destination would help his fantasy value most? I mean, with the reports of like he was down in the 2 teams he wanted to play for, I mean, now it's definitely the Jets with Carr being out for a couple weeks. And I don't think people would necessarily be as excited about Carr as they would Rodgers. So I think you're not selling high on him right now with him not playing and not having a new team. You need to wait for him to land somewhere and then you can move on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really love the move to the Jets either. I mean, have to remember the Jets are a really slow paced team. Aaron Rodgers loves just to milk that damn clock down to nothing. So they're already really slow paced. Garrett Wilson's still there, obviously, and so yeah.
So I mean, you do have the ability to move on from that if you wanted to.
Yeah, I would definitely look
Right.
to sell.
That would make me feel better about moving Higgins. Just hard to move someone like that with the volume and the target share that he's been seeing. Like even before last week, he was out targeting Chase like the 2 previous weeks. But I mean, with having CD Evans, if Cop comes back and can even be like 80-75% of what he was, and then you still have Shaheed chilling. So that makes me feel better about that move for sure. Appreciate the super chat, Nino. Jack, did Jawan Jennings a flex start? He's my only option because Jefferson Worthy are on buys. I have Jerome Ford, but I don't trust him.
No, he's not. I would.
Is like Jalen Tolbert out there? He's someone I think you could pick up and potentially start. That I would start over Jawan Jennings. Um, who else was I talking about when I recorded the wide receiver show 5 times today before I finally gave up and just stopped? Didn't get to tell you that about that yet, Kevin, but I was going like kept just restarting it. Must have recorded it 4 or 5 times. And then like I looked down at the clock and it was already 5. I was like, fuck this. I can't I can't do it. I was getting so frustrated. Just hated how everything was coming out. But yeah, like Jalen Tolbert, if he's available, Jack, I would start. Let's see. Who might be available on waivers you could pick up?
I mean, now it looks like Michael Pittman could be missed multiple weeks. Someone like Alec Pierce or Josh Downs, if either one of them. I doubt Josh Downs is, but maybe Alec Pierce. With him sitting out there, it sounds like Michael Pittman is going to be out for
Maybe like
possibly even IR.
Rashad Bateman. Potentially, I don't know what his like roster percentage is, but I feel like that's someone that most people just hate. I like him this week. Slayton, if he's out there, I'd rather start Slayton. Let us know like what your waivers look like. I mean, if he's your only, I'd probably still go Ford over Jennings, but just me. Viz, what do you think of Goodson if Sermon doesn't play? Both Taylor and Sermon did practice today. Sermon with a collarbone injury. Like to know what your thoughts are. Thanks. I mean, if he's the only show in town, he's the only show in town. Like I think the dude has shown like good bursts every time that he has had an opportunity, except for when he had the chance to win them the playoff game and he dropped the ball last year. But other than that, I think he's looked solid. Like I said, when given the opportunity. Not a great matchup though, going up against the Titans.
Yeah.
Lupe. Little kick push. Need help. Full PPR. 2 running backs between Mason Hall and Dowdle and Walker. So that's going to be Mason and Brees. Yeah, Mason and Brees for me. I think it's a bounce back week for Brees.
Yeah.
2 wide receivers, McLaurin, BTJ, Deontay, Wicks, Leggett. Be McLaurin and Deontay for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then I think you flex Kenneth Walker.
No, that's where I was going as well. Alex, what's up, man? I want to thank you for helping me win week 4. Our pleasure. This week I come with the question if giving up Olave, Higgins, and Hawk for Achane and Debo is a good trade, full PPR.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, with Achane, the biggest problem has been just
not having to.
Yeah. And so the bye week coming a good time to be able to get, I know Achane left with a little bit of an injury in that game. So the bye week should help that for sure. Better days ahead for Debo. And then you've been playing all year without Hawkinson, so that doesn't really matter, I would assume, unless you just don't have a tight end. But other than that, I mean, Olave and Higgins, Olave has been kind of a disappointment this year. I mean, honestly, if you look at even just the underlying metrics, Rashid Shaheed has outplayed Chris Olave in every facet of the game this year. So Olave, and now, like if Derek Carr's, depending on how many weeks he misses, that's a problem. Though, we'll see how I guess Spencer Rattler does in his kind of wild that he didn't even get to go in. He's not even the guy they put in on Monday night, and then they moved to him. But regardless of that, so yeah, I think it's a good trade because I think Achane is a really good buy low because he's been dreadful since Tua's been out, and getting Tua back I think is just obviously huge for that offense.
Jack, who should I pick up? Jawan Jennings is a sit. Well, here was our follow up that he already dropped in there. Walker, Lazard, McLeod, Slayton, Tank, Ridley.
Yeah, take Dell.
Are you worried that Tank Dell just has not looked right for the first couple weeks? His injury is still kind of holding him back.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, we've seen it with multiple players, but I think with him, I mean, you're talking even. I know it's more than just a this week question. I mean, but I think even just the next 4 weeks. I mean, it's just a great opportunity now. I mean, moving Nico out of the way, which is a killer because Nico Collins has been an absolute dog all year. But I just think that it's the best opportunity you're going to get, right? So if you look at the options, I mean, Allen Lazard, really low ceiling. Tyler Lockett's also the same. I mean, he's the third or fourth option within their own offense now. I know Slayton had a big game, but I'm not sure if that's something I would want to trust every single week. I know this week, I know Neighbors wasn't able to practice today, though they did say it sounds like maybe he could get out there and do a limited practice tomorrow, tomorrow's going to be the big day if they can, and that's a good sign for his availability. And then Calvin Ridley, it's fine, I guess, but I just hate the quarterback that they have. I think Tank Dell is in the best situation. He's the number 2 wide receiver now within this offense. So
Michael, appreciate you. I know you're not here, but this just goes for anyone. You can always, if you have any other questions, you can always just drop them in any of our YouTube videos, and we'll be sure to try and get to them. We also have a Discord channel that is absolutely free that you can hit up as well. Speaking of subs, Jacob, gonna sub right now. Appreciate you. Let's talk waiver trends, good or bad. Can you expand on your question? Like for this week, like waiver trends from like the beginning of the year. Just want to make sure we get your question right. So if you're still rocking with us, Jacob, appreciate the sub, but like let us know. Get a little more specific here. Let us know exactly what you're looking for. Rashad or Tyrone for our guy Kanoa. Assuming Rashad plays, I'm going to lean Rashad unless like Singletary's out, but that does not sound like it's going to be the case. Like I said before, we had a question where it was, Bucky versus Tyrone or Singletary. I just don't know what to expect from this workload. I would think Tracy gets some more touches with how well he played last week, but that's not a guarantee. So as long as Rashad White is going to be okay and he continues to get in limited practices for the rest of the week, I would lean Rashad.
yeah, and I mean, I honestly, Rashad White had one of his most efficient games of the season, running the football last week, which was somewhat of a positive sign. I think game script something you're not worried about with this game against the Saints, more than likely now with Derek Carr out. So, and then Tyrone Tracy, like he looked phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, and I do think he earned more touches. But the flip side of that is Ryan Daboll loves Devin Singletary. That's his boy, and so like, and not that Devin Singletary's done anything to like lose the job this year, but he's still just kind of Devin Singletary. I wish they would give Tyrone Tracy a more of an expanded look, and maybe they will as the season goes on. But as far as just this week, I think it has to be Rashad White.
Sean, 8-man full PPR start, 1 QB, 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex. Allen or Love, let's start there. If
That'd be Jordan Love for me.
Yeah, I think
The Jets pass defense has been absolutely
yeah.
elite this
I
year.
forgot they were playing the Jets. So I'm with you. Jordan Love on that one. 2 running backs between K9 Cook, B Rob, Bigsby. Assuming Cook plays, he's going to be in there. Walker is obviously a lock here. And then so if Cook doesn't play, I would go B Rob over Bigsby. 1 wide receiver out of Marv, Moore, Shaheed, Flowers. That's going to be Flowers for me. I'm lower on Marv this week than consensus.
Yeah, I think it's I agree. I think it's Walker and Cook. And what do we need? Only 1 wide receiver?
Yep.
So Marvin Harrison Jr.
I guess we need 2 flex. So then I would go
DJ Moore and Zay Flowers.
and then I would go DJ Moore and Marv. Start DK or Wilson this week. This is 100% DK Metcalf for me.
Mm-hmm.
In the aforementioned wide receiver video that it's never going to see the light of day, I had Garrett Wilson as a sit this week, for what it's worth. Isaiah Dell or Johnson is going to be Deontay for me.
Yeah, I agree. It's Deontay.
Sean, continue on a previous question for available tight ends. Laporta and Ingram on waivers. Conklin, Komet, Otten. Almost all tight ends outside of top 25. Oh, I guess we never even really answered that. So Sean has Ertz at tight end.
You pick up Sam Laporta.
Yeah. Yep. Kev, your time to shine. Packers or Niners? I think it's going to be Packers for me.
Yeah, I think probably the nine or I don't really love either one of them, to be honest with you. I just feel like there's probably better options sitting out there than either one of those. Um, I talked about some defenses already in the streaming videos, but that we did. But like even something like the Chargers, I think is a good option against the Broncos. I think that the Bucks, especially now with you're talking about starting a rookie quarterback there. Uh, Even though it is in New Orleans, but either way, I still think the Bucks are a good option as a defense this week. Now, the Falcons are still, I think, a good option as well. The Patriots, you might take a look at, but I think overall, like if it had to be between one of these two, I probably lean the Packers.
Is everyone just going to be jamming in Packers? I mean, the Patriots defense on DK this week? Is that what everyone's gonna be doing?
I mean, possibly. I mean, some other. I mean, if like the Eagles are available, I would. I mean, it's a little later in the week, so I'm sure waivers are run. I'm sure someone's already picked them up, but the Eagles would definitely be my number one option, and it's not close as a defense that you can look to add, or the Colts.
You're a miss, Kev. Yang miss you.
Well,
Jay, do I start Kendra Miller over Najee Bigsby or Ridley if Kamara doesn't play? Is Kendra Miller even off IR yet? Even if the answer is yes, the answer is still no.
yeah. So he actually was thought to be back on Monday, and then they ruled him out on Saturday. So he is he is expected to be back, but I also don't care.
Yeah.
They did practice on Wednesday. Like the one they played on Monday. Kamara's old. They've been giving him a lot of work. Like Wednesdays, we've always talked about it, but Wednesday is a big maintenance day for veterans, where often teams will give their veterans the day off on Wednesdays because they don't really matter. And so, like Wednesday practice reports don't really matter to me. Now, if he doesn't practice tomorrow, then I would be a little more concerned. But I'm sure I'm fine. But I don't really love him anyway. I don't really love this matchup for him this week anyway.
Yeah. And I'm a Kendra guy. I really liked him coming in. Thought he was really solid all around, but I'm not starting him over any of those guys, even if Kamara doesn't play.
Right. Yeah.
Super Dave. Someone offered Ridley for JMO in a PPR league. Yay or nay? I want the JMO side.
Correct.
They're both kind of like boom busty, but at least JMO's on a more trustworthy offense. And JMO's boom busty because they have so many options. Ridley is boom busty because it's just shit. So Ethan, trade Terry McLaurin and Tank Dell for Metcalf and Waddle. Give me the Metcalf side a million times out of a million. 100%. Fook, should I roster Bucky or Eckler?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yes. I mean, I think they're both kind of similar options in one way or the other. I think it would matter if it's PPR or not, because in a PPR format, I probably would lean towards Eckler just 'cause he's a little more involved in the passing game. Not that Bucky Irving can't, but I mean, with Rashad White still there, Rashad White's still going to be really has been the pass catching option. So
Yeah, I kind of feel like this is like PPR versus like half PPR. Right, half PPR, I probably would give the edge to Bucky. Full PPR, I'd probably give the edge to Eckler. Another one here from Super Dave. Drop Sermon for AD Mitchell since JT will be back and Pittman will be out. Grab Ray Davis with Cook not practicing just in case. As much as it pains me to say, for multiple reasons here, especially with Kev being the Ty Johnson stand and us having the back and forth with Ty Johnson and Michael Carter for a while. If Ty Johnson is out there, he's the guy that I would want. And I love Ray Davis, but we have not seen anything from him yet to this point. So if you picked up Ray Davis because Ty Johnson is already rostered, that's obviously a different conversation. But if Ty Johnson is out there, hate to say it, but that's what I go with.
yeah, I mean it I don't really love any of the Colts pass catchers. Actually, in my not that anybody cares about my own fantasy team, but like in my home league, I have Michael Pittman. And actually before the news came out about his injury, I was gonna be I was looking around trying to find anybody I could try to trade him to because he's had like 2 decent weeks. It's just with the Anthony Richardson, I don't really have a whole lot of faith. Like in this offense. Now, don't get me wrong, Anthony Richardson's still pretty raw in terms of like how many games he's ever actually started in his whole career, like entire career, like even like go like in college through pros. But like it just hasn't looked very good. Like this offense looked way better, at least obviously moving the ball through the air with Flacco. But it was always like, man, I hope Flacco gets hurt. Like or hope Richardson gets hurt because so Flacco can play. So I don't really love the passing offense here. Like I get it with AD Mitchell, and AD Mitchell maybe I think deserves a little more. But like, I think if he was on a different team, maybe we have a different conversation about him because there's been multiple opportunities where he's been open that Anthony Richardson just flat out missed them. And so as a thrower, like it just worries me with really this offense. Like outside of like, I think like someone like Josh Downs who eats up a lot of the underneath coverage stuff. I think a little bit more easier, layup type throws is a little bit better for him. But with AD Mitchell, I mean, he's more of your deep threat, and it's pretty hit or miss if Anthony Richardson's going to be able to hit those. So like that's the only concern with me with that offense and attacking that pass offense.
Amika, would you trade McLaurin for Chase Brown? I have T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Lamb, London, Brian Thomas Jr., RBs are Kyron Cook, Ford, Rico, and Bigsby.
Yeah, I think I would. Like, I think there's a real scenario here, like especially because again we don't really talk about like I know I said it, but like if Zach Moss doesn't play this week, it's a huge opportunity for Chase Brown to really separate himself because I mean Chase Brown's looked pretty good the last couple of weeks. And so, like, I don't mind trying to buy him. And McLaurin, I mean, you have quite a bit of depth at wide receiver with CeeDee Lamb, London, Devonta Smith now. But if you look at that, like, and that's another one too. The Eagles, like, if you should like looking at the Eagles' schedule, like over the next 5 or 6 weeks, is phenomenal. Like, it's amazing. Like, those pass catchers should smash like the next 5 or 6 games with their schedule they have upcoming. So you have a lot of depth here. So like I don't mind making that move. Like I like your running backs are fine with Kyron and James Cook, but past that, like Rico is definitely starting to look a lot better, and I like the Bigsby. But like you definitely could use some more there with at running back. So I would make that move.
Ashton, we won in a PPR with a half point tight end premium. Shaheed, Slayton, or Kraft?
I would say I would have said Shaheed if Derek Carr was playing, but I'm a little bit lower on all Saints now because of that news. So I would probably go Tucker Craft, honestly.
I would go Kraft with the premium. Chris, think there might be a little typo here. Oh, I'm literally just getting ready to ask him if he was still here. Should I trade away Lamb and White for Henry and Olave? There it is. Have Lamb, London, Devonta Smith, wide receivers, Swift, and White for running backs.
No.
I get why that you're looking at something like this, but I would not want to do it.
Yeah. I just feel like you become thin. You're creating a one hole to open up to help another, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would hold. I would hold there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for making me feel better about the trade. Already been subbed, dropped a like. Make sure to try and catch you guys next time. Appreciate you, Alex. We do go live every Wednesday for start sits around 10:30 Eastern, and then we also typically do a Sunday show as well around 11 or 11:30 Eastern. So plenty of opportunities for you to catch us next time.
Yeah. As long as you don't, some of us don't fall asleep, whenever we're supposed to be on the show. Like, this is like the worst feeling too. Cause like I jumped up and I was like, I kind of woke up and I was like, look around. I'm like, shit. I look at my phone. And I'm like, okay, well, it's not as bad. It's like, it was like 9:58 or something. I'm like, okay. At least it's not like, 1 a.m. or something. You clearly already get this thing. And I was like, God damn. I was like, son of a bitch.
Gotta
I
figure
didn't,
that out. That's what happened. So
I don't remember falling asleep because like there was the Royals game was on, whatever, the playoff game. And I guess I put me to sleep. I fell asleep. So yeah. Which I'm gonna say something to like because I'm like, what? No one woke me up. Like everyone knows I do the show on Wednesday night, and they just went upstairs, like didn't say anything. Bunch of assholes.
yeah, Cody's got it. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Texans, Bills, or Falcons D?
Texans.
Yeah. Forgot they played the Patriots. If you guys need another opportunity to get your questions answered, or you just want to join our little Discord community, there is a link there that our guy Ashton has so kindly dropped into the chat. Absolutely free, no strings attached, anything like that, no paywall, not trying to get you in, and then there's like a premium side to it or anything like that. Just absolutely free across the board. So just a lot of people helping people in there too, because it's gotten quite active. Jay Smells, what do you think of the team? What should I work on? I want to trade Rashad for a better running back. I have White, Brees Hall, Stroud, Jordan Love, Deontay Johnson, Neighbors, BTJ, McBride, Pitts, Chase Brown, Jonathan Brooks, Tank Dell, Pollard, Metcalf, Bigsby.
The thing is, you're not going to trade Rashad for a better running back.
Yeah, in order to do that, you're going to have to add to it. You could potentially try and sell high on Kyle Pitts. So maybe like McBride and Pitts for someone who needs tight end help is as a possibility.
Like if you're going to buy somebody, I think it's Javonte Williams. Like that's the kind of the guy that I want. Like Javonte is starting to trend up the last couple of weeks. He's starting to look better now. And so, like, if I was going to try to trade for somebody, like that would be the type of player you're going to have to look to trade for. Rashad White's not getting it done.
Yeah, you could probably do that's probably like it's just like a flip you can make too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're like really wanting to upgrade, you're gonna have to add one of these other pieces to Rashad White in order to do it. AP, what's up, guys? What's up, AP? Jefferson, Kyron on by 2 wide receivers and a flex. Lad, Ridley, Lockett, Dobbs, Keenan, Javonte. Javonte in the flex. And then I'm going to go Lockett and Ridley.
I'm gonna go Ladd and Calvin Ridley.
Ladd was circling in my head as well. Jack, should I start Brian Thomas, Ayuk, or Devonta Smith? It's gonna be Ayuk for me.
Sorry, I was looking at his swing. I was like, that's a nice looking swing. Nice extension there. I mean, that's what you look. And his Abby. Sorry. It's easy. I love Brian Thomas. And I think Brian Thomas, like I said, I've been saying for a while now that that he's the number one wide receiver on this team, but just don't really love this matchup as much. So Ayuk finally has a bounce back spot. Uh, and so I still probably would go Brandon Ayuk here in the situation. Just a little bit lower on Brian Thomas. The Chicago's pass defense is one of the best, in the league, and so I'm a little bit hesitant on Brian Thomas for this week. And then I do like Devonta Smith as an option as well, but I still lean Brandon Ayuk as a kind of a borderline wide receiver one, high end wide receiver one this week.
TB Aloha for the flex. I have Wicks. Waiver has Tolbert, Dobbs, Downs, Ridley, Jacoby Myers. Thoughts to drop for one?
I don't want to drop Dontavian Wicks, though. Like if I had to, it would be for Jalen Tolbert.
Yeah, but I'd hold on to Wicks for.
Though I will say it did sound like Christian Watson was able to. Sounds like he might be back this week. So if that's the case, it makes me a little less excited about Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah, I can't imagine he runs his like normal complement of snaps, though. I would think. Chris, QB, Murray or Fields? Golly.
This is gonna be Kyler for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Kyler too, even though I don't love it. Laporta or Fergie Ferg?
Jake Ferguson.
Yeah, I think so as well. It pains me to say. Then wide receiver, London, Higgins, Downs. If we only need two of those, it's going to be the first two for sure. Running back, Hall Jacobs. Oh, okay, then flex, Javonte, Tolbert, Laporta. I think I would go Laporta here in the flex.
I would probably lean towards. I would probably go Javonte.
AP in my 14-team league, I'm getting offered Goddard, Terry, and Garrett Wilson for London Shaheed and Brian Thomas. Should I accept Kamara, Barkley, K9, Higgins, Ingram, and Madison as my other players?
No. I don't want the Goddard, Terry, and Garrett Wilson side.
Yeah, I want the London side.
This feels like somebody trying to offload, because like Goddard's value drops now with the return of AJ Brown. It's just how it's been the last couple of years. Goddard's just not nearly as valuable whenever one of them are playing, and so now that everybody's back, it kind of drops a little bit. And then Garrett Wilson's value has not been great, and obviously he's coming off that big week. But like to be fair, if we're being honest, like he still wasn't good because I know the numbers were great for like fantasy, but like if you have 13 receptions and you only have just over 100 receiving yards, it's not great, right? Like he's not
on
that
20 plus targets.
yeah, on 22 targets.
Yeah.
So like obviously for fantasy, we'll take it, obviously. But for like just the underlying stuff to it, it's like, and then you also have the fact that ever since the Devontae Adams stuff came out, I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to the Jets, you know, and then so yeah, like, and I hate that for him, and so for Garrett Wilson, so that just lowers him even more. So this feels like someone just trying to offer you offload some players that are values about to really drop and take you. So I would not do that at all.
I agree. Perry looking to trade Brian Thomas and Bowers for Amon-Ra. Where your head there? If you can do that, I would do it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would too, but
Not sure it gets it done, but if you can pull it off,
maybe just because how the way Brian Thomas has been playing, and then Bowers
Bowers
obviously has
had
been
another
really good.
week. Yeah. Would you do Dobbins for Higgins straight up? I want the Higgins side.
Yeah, I think so too.
Assuming this is Chuba for Tyreek. I
Oh,
mean,
I'm
again,
good with that.
if this is something you can do,
As long as that's not,
absolutely.
yeah, as long as that's not Taysom Hill.
Right.
But yeah, if it's for
Yeah.
Tyreek, absolutely.
Yeah. Super Dave, 12-team PPR start 2, 3 if neighbors still can't go. JMO, Dunzi, Leggett, AD Mitchell. Jameson Williams for sure. And then a
Odunze.
Dunzi. And then if we need a third,
I probably just start AD Mitchell and hope for the best because I don't know exactly what's going to be with Leggett this week. Though I will say after that game, once he left the game, he said that he should be fine. So, but we'll see. But who knows?
yeah, I'd probably go with Leggett if neighbors can't go. Marco, should I drop Andrews for Evan Ingram? That's on waiver since they won't throw the ball to him. Yes, I would. I would do that. It's funny. He finally had a solid week, and you're like, okay, all right, maybe this is the start. And then you realize that Lamar dropped back 40 plus times, and that's all he can muster. Jamo also on waiver. Should I drop Bigsby for him? This was the 8-team league, right? If memory serves.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to drop Bigsby. He's just been awesome. I mean, his numbers are phenomenal on a per touch basis. He's averaging like 8 yards per carry. It's just wild.
So this was Allen, Jordan Love, not a super flex, just one QB. Allen, Love, K9, Cook, Brian Robinson, Bigsby, Marv, Moore, Shaheed, Flowers.
What was the question part of it?
Just drop Bigsby for Jameson.
No. I don't want to drop Bigsby.
Kanoa, Demario, Donne, or Turpin in the flex.
Is this really where we're at this part of the year? I mean,
This is where we're at. It's real, brother. I do think Turpin is a sneaky start, but only in like deep leagues.
I would probably go DeMario and just pray that Drake May can have a decent game in his rookie debut, his rookie's first time starting. Just because he's kind of that underneath
Yeah.
option.
And you waited this long, you couldn't wait. I mean, I don't know who the Pats have next week, but you couldn't wait to not do it against the D'Amico Ryans defense.
Yeah,
But
and I
yeah,
mean
I agree. I would go DeMario here as well. Miko, do you think I aim higher for a better RB such as Monty? And what kind of deal do I package to get him? So this was McLaurin for Chase Brown. Yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, I want Monty over Chase Brown.
yeah, for sure. I mean, Monty's been. I mean, they've both been phenomenal. They're both like Gibbs and Monty have basically been the same. I mean, they're putting up the same fantasy points. But I think it would take more than McLaurin, I would think. Like I'm fine with trading McLaurin for Chase Brown.
D. Finney, you guys have both ETN and Tank. Would you start Tank this week due to ETN's shoulder still banged up? Can't run him a lot. Keep getting it banged up this week. Tank did also. I think he was limited. Also with a shoulder, I believe today. What other options do you have? I guess is what I would want to know. DF. So if you're still here, let us know what the rest of that roster looks like.
For me, it's easily Tank. I mean, Tank's the top 24 wide receiver for me this week.
Running back.
Take Bigsby. I was thinking take Dell.
Yeah, I see. Okay, would you still lean Lockett over Lad if I have K9 as my running back? I mean, I personally would. I just like that matchup better. But I mean, if that's your tiebreaker, I mean that's fine. Like they're pretty close. I think Lad probably has like the safer floor, but Lockett I think has the higher ceiling. Spectre, I have Bijan, B. Rob, Scary Terry, Odunzi, Dell, Bucky Olave, and Smitty. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. So Terry and Smitty at wide receiver for me.
Running back, it's easily Bijan and Brian Robinson for sure. And then it's Terry and Dell. And then I would flex Devonta Smith.
Yeah, then I'd flex Dell. I mean, we're on the same players, but AR5 or dimes. God, I can't believe I'm waffling when in consideration for Daniel Jones. But I think that's where I would go. I would go Danny Dimes here. Assuming Navis is back. Kev, any dissenting opinion?
Yeah, I probably would go Daniel Dimes. That's what I would do.
Amika, if I do trade Terry, who'd you play in the flex? Smitty, T. Higgins, or Brian Thomas? I have Higgins slightly over Smitty this week.
Agreed.
Perry, I have Daniels Stroud. I'd rather use Daniels the rest of the season. Only one guy in the league is a QB. He's impossible to trade with. But would you trade Stroud for Amari straight up? Ugh. I don't know that I would. I mean, I get it, but Amari, it's been. I'd probably just like hold out for like another week or two and see if I mean, see if we get any injuries at the quarterback position or something like there's. And Stroud hasn't hasn't had a real like blow up game yet.
It's only
So,
gonna be tougher with with Nico Collins out.
right, right,
Um, but and like the appeal to buying Amari would be that he gets traded. Um,
correct.
but as we know, those things are there's all this speculation that these things happen and then it never does. So I know there's been a
Oh,
lot of talk about like Amari being traded to the Chiefs, but you know, and even if that happened, like just knowing how the Chiefs operate, like I don't know. Like for fantasy anyways, it would worry me because just it tends to take players a really long time to learn the Chiefs playbook. But and if that happened, but it is tough though because trading quarterbacks is always the hardest thing to do. Because they just don't hold the same value for most people. But I feel like you could probably get something better than Amari Cooper at this point. Because I have no interest in Amari Cooper if he remains on the Browns. And it's crazy what's going on there because it's starting to sound like that like or what it because like I guess Jameis Winston was actually warming up at halftime of last week's game, and then Deshaun Watson came back in. So like there's been like speculation that like this is a Jimmy Haslam thing. The Browns owner is like forcing them to start
Mm,
uh Deshaun Watson because even like I said, like after that game, Deshaun Watson was basically like, "I don't care if you bench me," which I've just never heard in my life. Your franchise quarterback being like, "Yeah, yeah, you want to bench me, cool, like no big deal." Like he just so like I don't know, like it's if Amari Cooper was guaranteed to be traded, then I would be like, "Yeah, do that." Because his
yeah,
value would
yeah.
because I don't think because I think it's I saw today like Amari Cooper has 45% of his targets have been non-catchable targets this year, which is by far the highest amount in the league. Like that's insane. So it's not like it's not really Amari Cooper's fault. It's Deshaun Watson's fault because Deshaun Watson has been just cheeks.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper's definitely had his drops. There was that big play that came back on the penalty. Was that 2 weeks ago? That should have been like a 85-yard touchdown, but that catchable target rate is a slight problem. If you're playing Walker and J.K. Dobbins the flex, I need either ETN, Tank, or Liggett. Okay.
I would probably go ETN. Like ETN has been frustrating, but like he's at least been getting you like. 'Cause I think
He still clearly has that pass catching role.
correct, and I think he scored like I think he's the one that scored double digit fantasy points in 4 of the 5 games this year. So like I know he hasn't been like nothing compared to what he especially early last year, but he's at least been yeah okay. I just want to make sure that was correct. Yeah, so he's been a top 24 running back in 4 of the 5 games this year. It's just he just hasn't been able to do a whole lot on the ground. Has been the problem, and he's only scored or 2 touchdowns. He hasn't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks, but I still would probably lean ETN.
Another ETN question. This one coming from our guy ET. Assuming that ETN suits up, do you prefer Braylon Allen or Tank Bigsby as a flex in non PPR?
Non PPR, I would probably go take Bixby.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. If I had, if I had $200 million that I was wiping my ass with, you're like, oh, I can just sit on the bench and not get sacked 8 times a game. Cool.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I mean, 100%. But at the same time, like if you're the Browns, it's like, what's the point? Like you're paying him no matter what. Like whether he plays or
Right.
not,
Right.
like then just move on. Like just do something. Like there's no like, oh well, if he's we're paying him this money, so we're just gonna play him anyway. So okay, we're just gonna tank our season no matter what, just because we're paying him this money. That's just stupid. You're paying him no matter what. Like there's no getting out of it. Like and there's still uh I think there's at least one, if not two more years where they could really get out of it. Like so I think there's an out at some point, but it's just it is what it is at this point. But I think you just move on at this point. I mean, you can't just keep running them out there and just ruining your season.
Oh, man, I don't like that Spotrac changed this. Oh my god. A pre-June 1 release in 2025. What? I have never seen this. $172.7 million dead cap with the if he was designated a pre-June 1st release. A pre-June 1 trade is still an $80.7 million dead cap. A post June 1 release is still 118, almost 119 million in dead cap. If they can somehow trade him though, that dead cap drops to 26.9 and 25 and then 53.8 in 2026.
Yeah, it's wild with him. Like easily the worst contract ever given out in the NFL history.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
But I don't know if anybody could have predicted that he would have turned into this either.
No.
Like, don't get me wrong, he set out the year and all that stuff, and I felt like, okay, once he finally came back, I was like, okay, he probably is going to struggle the first because he's been out for so long. He'll eventually figure it out. But no, like he just hasn't. Like he's never been anywhere close to the same guy he was prior to all the dumb shit he was doing. But apparently, that massage was the magic deal. He hasn't been able to get massages, and now he's the
Yeah.
worst quarterback we've ever seen. Like and I do think there's probably because I know like he's had like shoulder issues and everything else, and like he just I don't know, he's just not the same guy at all anymore.
Yeah, who knew sexual assault was the key to his productivity? Wild times. Anyway, Kev, have you done your rest of season kicker rankings yet?
No, because like with kickers, there's never a rest of season option. It's a week to week option to me when it comes to kickers. I don't care unless you have Brandon Aubrey and probably Harrison Bucker. Like those are like the only two that would be like even still like I don't really love it. I feel like you're handicapped into playing them, but at least for them. But like that's the only thing that I would look at, and that's it. Like, but those are the only two. But other than that, I'm just going week to week. Like, and Will Lutz is certainly not somebody that I'm holding on to all year.
Should we choose the kicker based on how often their team attempts field goals and their accuracy? I mean, it's one thing to look at. We've talked about this a couple weeks now. The thing that I tend to look at is just, well, normally I just pick someone and I don't. They just don't leave my lineup until their bye week, and I pick someone else up. And normally I'm just riding with them until until whatever they're done. But Vegas totals. So if you Google like Fantasy Labs NFL like Vegas, you'll find this, and you can see the implied team totals for every game. It's really nice. They give you like a little like a green and a red, so you can see like the teams that have better implied totals. So that's super helpful. Weather is kind of like a tiebreaker. And then the other thing, this happened to me a couple, I don't know, probably like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I was doing the kicker and defense streaming video. I kept going to Miami's kicker, and it just was not working out because they were going for it on fourth down a ton. So like that would be the thing is like, are they aggressive? They go for it on fourth down, or are they okay with attempting field goals?
Yeah. So with I guess being the kicker guy now in the streets, but the things that I have found that are the most predictive uh, year over year, week over week, is one, the thing you just mentioned, applied team totals. That's the most important thing. Obviously, we want to know who's projected to score the most points that week is going to lead to more opportunities for a kicker. But it's not foolproof. But then the other stuff is third down conversion rate for teams, because obviously if you're able to convert third downs at a higher rate, you're going to be able to keep your offense moving. You're going to get more opportunities to score points that way as well. And then passing yards is also another one. But right now, third down conversion rate, like I haven't looked at it this week, but the week prior to, I think it was 8 of the top 12 kickers were their offenses were all within the top 12 of third down conversion rate, and then 9 or 10 of the top 12 were within the top 15 of third down conversion rate. So like that's another thing you can easily look at. But for me, when it comes to kickers, like that's the things that I care the most about on a week to week basis. But what's funny with the kicker stuff is like now, so like the fantasy, like so the Fantasy Pros like accuracy rankings. So everybody that does rankings on Fantasy Pros are involved in, like, people that don't know this, but like an accuracy ranking. And so like every week, I go and look at it. So like and the only thing I really care about is like, okay, where was I on kickers this week? And like I've been within like the top 15 most accurate on ranking kickers the last 3 weeks in a row. Like so I'm like, let's go. Like this week I was like 12th. The week before that I was 8th. And so like on the week of my kicker rankings. So feels pretty good. I don't, it's wild that I actually care about it, because normally behind peeling back the curtains a little bit, like I'm normally I hate kickers. Like I think kickers are like shouldn't be involved in fantasy football, but now like I've been doing the videos and everything for it. So now I mean I'm rejuvenated now. Like now I'm a kicker guy, I guess. And so yeah. And actually, humble brag, I was the top 10 most accurate of all the rankings, not just kickers, but overall for the last week, I was number 10. So most accurate last week. So you know, humble brag.
Bow in my presence.
'Cause I got a notification. I was like, "What is this?" I was like, on my on Twitter, and I was like, "What is this?" And so I click it. I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's top 10 this week. Let's go."
And then you fell asleep.
And
Partied so
yeah,
hard and celebrated, you've just passed out.
had a warm glass of milk and just passed out.
Chocolate chip cookie and good to
Yeah.
go. Dino, have Garrett Wilson being offered Chris Olave for him full PPR. Here's the catch. I have Devontae Adams, and he might land at the Jets with Wilson.
I just don't want. I don't think Chris Olave is going to be terrible all year. Okay, but his value takes a hit without. I mean, unless Spencer Rattler, I will say, like, I know there were a lot of really positive reports about Spencer Rattler over the offseason, like in
Yeah.
training camp and everything, and how he looked really, really good. Um, so maybe, but and Olave hasn't been terrible. I mean, he's averaging 11.2 fantasy points per game, which isn't terrible, but he's obviously not what the value invested in him. But I mean, there's also 2 really bad games mixed in between there. Week 1, where he put up 3.1, and the last week he put up 3. So other than that, he's put up 12.8, 20.6, and 16.7. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe you could. But I don't hate it. Like, because Garrett Wilson hasn't been great either. And if they do acquire Devontae Adams, that's a real big problem you're going to have on your hands, having Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. So, like, yeah, I think that's what I would be looking at.
Yeah, I don't mind shopping him, but I don't know Olave would be.
Especially him coming off that the big week that he had, right? The 20+ point week.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit easier to try to trade him now than it would have been previously.
Christian Watson or Josh Downs. Assuming Josh Downs plays, I'm going Downs.
Yeah, for sure. It's Josh Downs.
Champagne, what do you think of Pickens? I'm starting to get a bit worried about his fantasy production. Dude's a bit of a basket case, and like Fields is Fields.
It's so crazy with Pickens because like he's so talented. Like he has so much talent. But like you see some of the routes he runs where it's like extremely lazy, like he's not even trying. And there's just things with him that are like super frustrating. I don't know what it is with the Steelers and wide receivers like this, but feels like they have a lot, a pretty strong track record of wide receivers like this. But yeah,
Should I trade Josh Allen, CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens for Lamar, AJ Brown, and Terry McLaurin? I went the Lamar side.
yeah, I agree.
Bigsby worth it or someone else? Am I missing anything? Did I skip over anything, Kev? I know Jacob was asking about the waiver trends earlier, but I just want to make sure that there weren't any messages that I skipped over here that we missed from Jacob.
I'm not sure. I mean, I assume he's still in here. It's only a couple of minutes ago. We're not that far behind. So, Jacob, if you want to maybe repost your question or something like that, make it a little bit easier.
I mean, I do. If this is going off of what you were talking about, like with waiver trends, I do think Bigsby is worth the pickup. If
Bro,
that's
100%. Like he's on one of the the group of players that I would 100% want on my roster. It's tough because there's um it's crazy. I was kind of looking at it today, like just sort of the trend for this year right now. And there's only two wide receivers that have just barely over 100 fantasy points right now. And that's Nico Collins, who now we've lost and it's for the next 4 weeks. And then the other one I think is Jamar Chase, and that's a lot of because of the 40-point production he just put up last week. But like that's it. And there's like 6 running backs, maybe 7 running backs that are over 100 fantasy points right now or something like that. It's just the running back position has outproduced the wide receiver position right now.
Chandler trade Stroud and Rashad White for Bijan. Team now is Purdy, Bijan, Henry, Debo, Evans, Goddard, Jamo. Thought 6-point passing touchdown in a full PPR league.
Yeah, I would do that if I could make that work. If I could, if someone would do that, I would do that.
Yeah.
I know Bijan's been frustrating, but I think better days are ahead.
And I think that could potentially start as early as this week as well. I feel like we need to get Kanoa on like an intro track for us. He's always coming through with this, and I want to need to get him like on a track saying this for like a new intro.
Absolutely.
Spectre. Stroud and Murray QB. Should I keep both of them or try to trade one? If the latter, which one should I shop around? Who should I target?
It's hard to really say. It's hard to say without knowing what the rest of your roster looks like. He says I'm currently 1-4, by the way. It's kind of desperate. We need to know what the rest of your roster looks like. And again, say this all the time. So just a nugget to keep in the back of your mind for seasons moving forward, like that you play fantasy football. Never draft multiple quarterbacks like this because this is what happens. So you have Stroud and you have Kyler Murray, and I'm guessing you probably spent a decent amount of draft capital, at least probably within your top 10 rounds on both of these guys, right? And the thought of process always is I'm going to trade one of them. Well, it's very hard to trade them because there's so many options that are sitting out there that people could just stream, and it just never works out. Like this it's a tale as old as time of people thinking that I'll just be able to flip this guy for trade bait, and it never happens ever. Or I shouldn't say ever, because that's not. I'm sure there's instances where people can point to they've been able to do it, but most often than not, they end up just being roster cloggers of players that you have just sitting there and you can't do anything with. They're too good to drop because you don't want to drop one of these players for somebody. But then in a trade, you really can't get a lot for them, or not nearly as much as you think that you should. And so that's where the problem comes. So it's just never worth it to draft multiple quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, my go-to move in these types of situations is just to hit up the league chat, your text, whatever it is, whatever app you use, put both on the block, and then see what kind of offers you get, and then just pick from your favorite.
But that's
Sean Stream,
all I was going to say is if you want to drop your roster, we can at least look at see what if you're 1-4. At least be able to see what the rest of your team looks like and what's going on.
yeah. Sean Stream Siebert last week. Do you think he's good this week against the Ravens? Commanders have been going for on fourth down at time, which is why I'm apprehensive. If not, who do you recommend Stream? Kicker Kev. No longer are you Debbie Kevy. You're not Kicker Kev.
So with Austin Seibert, I mean he's been really good. So he is second in fantasy points per game. He's converted every field goal in PAT this season. If you're looking at just kind of checking some of the boxes, the Commanders have our top 10 and the 10th highest applied team total this week. Obviously, this game could be a shootout between them and the Ravens, but Seibert's been really, really good this year, and so I have no problem with him. He is easily one of my top streaming options. Chase McLaughlin is the other one of the other options that I have. I mean, he's been really good as well. He's scored double-digit fantasy points in 4 of the 5 games this year. So I think he's certainly another player you could look at. He's also the kicker 6 on the season, which is kind of wild that he was rostered in only 17% of leagues heading into today. Seibert, I think, is 7th or 8th as well. So both these guys were sub 20% owned, and both were top 6 options on the season. And then the other option that you could look at would be Braden Narvson for the Packers. He kind of course, the first week I recommended him as a streamer, he was terrible, and then he bounced back last week. So I think that would be the option. But for me, it would be Austin Seibert if he's sitting out there. I have no problem with rostering him. He's been really good.
Nick wants to know: do I trade AJ Brown for Kyron? Needed RB bad. I don't mind that move.
I think it always depends to me who are the other options. What does the rest of your team look like? What are you doing? What do your wide receivers look like? What wide receivers do you have left?
Yeah.
Because are you just creating a one situation for another?
Slapsky, 12-man PPR 2 flex starters are Kyler Henry, B-Rob, CeeDee Lamb, Nico, McBride, Higgins, Devonta. On the bench, we have Spears, Dowdle, Allen, Wicks, and Wandale. Looks like Slapsky has an open roster spot with Nico hitting IR. So some of the available options: Leggett, Trey Tucker, Ty Chandler, Demario Davis, Polk, Dortch, Bateman, Hutch, Dalton Schultz.
Probably Ty Chandler. I know they're on bye, but at least he's somebody that could possibly help. I know Aaron Jones is should be back after their bye, but at least of the options that were dropped here, he's the one that makes the most sense to my mind.
Yeah, I would agree. Another one from Nick: is it worth trading Brian Thomas Jr. for Kupp, even though I'm 2-3 and Kupp may not even be back until after week 7? If you're 2-3, I probably want to hold Brian Thomas at this point. Plus, I would love to believe the Cup comes back and he's, like I said, even 75% of Cooper Cup, but the injuries are starting to pile up a little bit. He is older. So I don't know what to expect from him when he does come back.
I agree, and I just think Brian Thomas is going to continue to get better and better as the season goes by. Like he's been so good. Um, that yeah,
Super Dave, I feel like there's a decent chance you can still get Jalen Warren 12th in waiver priority. There's been mixed signals around him whether or not he's actually going to play this week. It's not like he has been doing a ton even when he was in for the short amount of time he was in. So I think there's a chance he could end up slipping to you. Francisco, Debo, Godwin, or BTJ. This is going to be Godwin for me.
yeah, I agree. It's just I don't love the game environment as much now with Derek Carr out, but it's like, do you really need?
Yeah,
But at the same time, like I still think it's really close enough that I think I would still probably lean Godwin.
that's fair. Here is Spectre's roster: Bijan, B. Rob, Bucky, Terry, Smitty, Olave, Dell, Adams, Goddard, Bucky, Achan, Odunzi, and Hunt.
And his team was what one? Yeah, it was 1-4.
It's not a bad team. This is just one of those teams that's just been like hit by the like injury and underperforming bug. Like Bijan hasn't been it. Smitty's been hurt. Dell hasn't been it. Olave's been up and down. Adams has been hurt. He was up and down even when he was playing. Achan, like, is not a bad team on paper. Like going into the season, I would have been pretty happy with this team.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Like I think if you're gonna trade, so if you're gonna trade Stroud, who's the other one? Kyler, is that the other quarterback?
Yeah.
Um, if you're gonna trade one of them, like I think you're probably gonna go like one. I probably need to know what the other team has to be able to tell you, like, because like it's just instead of just random, um, naming off just a bunch of random players you could trade for, but like you're not necessarily looking to like capture whatever value you think they are. Like if you think they're like a top five quarterback, like that's not necessarily what you're looking to get. Like to me, like I would be looking to target somebody that can like I can provide like immediate because like right now, like your running backs are fine. Like I know Bijan hasn't necessarily been, but Achan's going to be really good. I think once Tua comes back, like so that's a good opportunity there. You also have Kareem Hunt, so really like that as well as depth. But wide receiver is really kind of what you're hurting, and it's tough because like you really can't flip Devontae Adams probably for what he's worth. And I've already said, like, if he goes to the Jets, I don't necessarily love it either for him there. Like, I just think he's capped at a ceiling there as well. But like, I do think that Devonta Smith is solid. Obviously, he missed. He was out with a concussion, and then they just came off their bye. But like, I think there's some options here that you could kind of move on, like that you could look at. But like in terms of just like trying to buy some like type of player that you could buy for a quarterback like that, you're probably looking at even if you could package something to try to get somebody like a Brian Thomas we talked a lot about, but maybe like a Zay Flowers type or Deontay Johnson or just trying to look around and see kind of other type of players you could like look to acquire. Maybe like a Jackson Smith and Jigba. Um those type of players, something like that, I think it's kind of what you're looking at, in my opinion.
Francisco Dowdle, Walker Singletary, or Tyrone Tracy Jr. We need 2.
I think it's definitely Kenneth Walker, and then it's whoever. If Singletary's back, which I expect to be, it's Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Slapsky, we're picking up Waddle here. I can't believe someone dropped Waddle in a 12 team.
Oh yeah, it's easily Waddle.
Yeah. Rate the team here for Slapsky. We already went through the roster, so we can kind of just take a look at it here. I mean, obviously, this is, if I'm grading it, this is like a B plus. Only because with Nico hitting IR, which obviously is not your fault, but
Yeah, the good news with that though is that it does sound like but it sounds like he should be back probably within the 4-week period, which is at least good. But
I wasn't even expecting that.
is there something that happened like could be this wild? It went from on Sunday it was day to day, and then literally the next morning it was it's probably week to week, and then literally the same day they put him on IR. It's like, okay, within 24 hours we went from day to day to now he's on IR. So.
Well, how you guys think this trade is fair? Saquon Ayuk, Brian Thomas Jr., Chase Brown for Jefferson Kupp, Connor.
I would want the Saquon side.
Yeah, I went the Saquon side pretty handily.
Yeah.
If you say Saquon and Jefferson, let's just say they're a wash. Then you're talking Ayuk, Brian Thomas, Chase Brown for Kupp and Connor.
Yeah.
And I'm slamming the Ayuk side. Yeah, I mean that's really good. It's a really strong team. Kev, looks like it's it. Looks like we have reached the end of the line. Appreciate you for rocking with us. Kev will be live tomorrow if you guys are into DraftKings and DFS.
Not tomorrow. Not tomorrow. We had to push it back to Friday. Maddie's got something going on, so we're doing it Friday night.
Got it. Well, Friday night it is then. Kevin, you going to be around for Sunday or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So Kev will be rolling solo on Sunday for another start sit show. You can come around. Are you going to do an hour?
I'll probably do an hour and a half, but I'm going to try to see if I can get Maddie or Ryan to come on so I can have someone with me, but we'll see.
So either way, there's
going to be a show.
It will be a Sunday show, whether it's solo or not, and whether it is an hour or an hour and a half before lock. So hit those noties, hit us with a sub and a like. And don't forget, you can also jump into our free Discord channel as well, or just drop a comment on one of the YouTube videos. Appreciate you all. Good luck this week, and we will talk to you all soon. Why? I hate this. I hate they do this now. Bye.